on this computer. And let me
Get the
find.
last game. Did you already get a game, Eli?
Did you
Oh
get
yeah.
it?
Is this
Come on, man. Give somebody else a chance, Eli.
I'll have to
They
remember to
need to
do
be
that
faster.
myself next time.
I'm not giving you a second game until
Professor, you need to
All right, that's fair.
record. See, I did before.
no games today for anyone, but thank you, Eli. You are out of the running. Stop. Let somebody else tell me to record.
But what if nobody tells you and you forget to record?
Remind us to remind him.
Give us a good 2 minutes before after the class opens.
Oh boy, yeah. I
need a head start.
No, I needed like lawyer rules for this sort of thing. I just thought we'd just do it.
We do need a countdown for it.
In the first class, in the 3 p.m., nobody reminded me at all today, and I just remembered myself. So no one got a game there either.
Don't forget to record, by the way.
Thank you, Nathan. I already remembered because Eli reminded me. I will give you a game just because you're a nice person, Nathan. But here's the thing. Let somebody else get the game tomorrow and after. Okay?
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's find a game for Nathan. Nathan, while we're waiting, privately in the chat, send me an email address where you would like to receive the code for the game. And I am going to, let's go here. What do we got? Make my choices. I have choices remaining. I have 6 choices. Hey, Nathan, how do you feel about horror games?
I'll try it.
Okay. Copy.
Well, wait, hold on. When you say horror games, do you mean like psychological horror or do you mean like jump scares?
I don't know. It looks scary. I got a picture to go by. You say no horror games, I will give you something with tanks. You want tanks or you want horror?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I know.
These are the questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Surprise me.
Okay. Horror it is. Gift to a friend. You are now my friend. Send an email, at least as far as Humble Bundle is concerned. Send email. Okay, you are now the proud owner of Pathologic 2. I don't know if it's jump scares or psychological horror or just it just looks scary. I don't know. Jack is giving it the thumbs up. Jack thinks it's a good game. There you go.
Just sounds fun.
Yes. It was, the first one was successful enough that they made a second one. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Okay, so
you could totally just make a first game with a 2 at the end of it to make people think that. Like, you don't have to actually make a first one.
Well, so the problem when Henry V came out in the movie theaters was that people were like, I haven't seen the first 4. Right? So see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's get rolling. Because we're recording all this silliness. So first off, I went through all the right clubs. I enjoy them. I enjoyed all of them. It allows me to put a face to all the little names in little black squares. That those of you who show me your face, yay, thank you. Those of you who don't, no worries, it's cool. But this is my little way of getting you to send me a picture so that I can triangulate. I won't remember anyway. I am notoriously horrible with names. I had years ago, I had women who were best friends and took all my courses together. And one of them was named Allison, and one of them was named, see, I don't remember. I'm going to say Abigail, but they were both A's, right? And in their senior years, after taking like 5 of my courses, they were like, Dean, you've been calling me Allison all these years and her Abigail, and I'm Abigail and she's Allison. And I'm like, no. So if I get your name wrong, it's not personal. I am just terrible with this sort of thing. And it's certainly worse when you're all in these little Brady Bunch boxes. So I, but things that were different this year than last year. Last year was the first time I did this because I wanted a chance to see everybody. And last year, if you recall, if you were around, we went home for spring break, or we went wherever for spring break, and we never came back. So everybody was trapped with their parents at home. So I got lots of family pets. This year, bunches of you are in dorms or off campus in apartments with roommates. So I still got lots of pets, and cool. I'm glad you are animal people. But I also got a computer monitor, a fair number of roommates slash siblings. I think they're roommates more than siblings. And the fun part of that is it's hard to tell which is the person in the class and which is the roommate slash sibling, because I'm like, is the person holding the piece of paper the class person or vice versa? I'm not sure. So that was kind of cool, to have actual human beings with stories told about them. And sometimes the stories got really dark. I mean, dark, death and destruction. Which, hey man, it's the difference a year in isolation makes, I guess. Because last year everybody was new to this and just telling happy stories about dogs and cats. I got lots of stuffed plushies and lots of not that many, but a fair number of plasticky or ceramic figurines. Actually quite, like, I didn't see one like Gundam or Star Wars anywhere, so go figure. So I'm not sharing them with the class. Usually with a right club, I will share my favorite ones with the class. But because they're pictures of you, and some of you didn't even include yourself in the picture, and I was like, okay, I said it should be a picture of you, because really my ulterior motive is to see a picture of you so I can see a face and a name. But okay, people get freaked out about getting their picture taken, whatever, man, it's cool. Other than that, if you didn't get it in and it's because you were late getting into the class and getting put on Canvas or whatever, just get it in, and then tell me when you put it in. Canvas will tell me when you put it in. Just put it in. it's Right Club, man. It's chill. So it's supposed to be fun. Speaking of which, I want to talk about Right Club. Right Club originated at the Game Developers Conference back in the 90s, where all the writers, and I think I said this before, all the writers, after the conference was over, conferences end around 5 or 6, and then everybody goes to dinner, but writers go to drink because we are depressed alcoholic types. Yeah. So all the writers go together to drink, especially if you're part of the narrative summit at GDC, because then we all are like, I know you're a writer. So during the drinking, and if you're a writer, the word comes around that says we're going to this bar tonight. During the drinking, there started this thing called Right Club, where essentially everybody in the room was given a prompt of some sort, which is like, tell me the name of a character that is a sparkle pony Gundam. And then you'd have to come up with something. And if you didn't know what a Gundam was, oh well, guess you're losing. If you didn't know what a sparkle pony was, oh well, I guess you're losing. Everybody with an answer would stand up, and the judges would, there were always 3 judges, would go around to every table, and you would read your answer aloud, and the judges would give you thumbs up. And if thumbs up, then you were through to the next round. And if thumbs down, you sat down and you were out. And they kept doing that until there was one person left, and they were the winner of Right Club. Now, the interesting thing is, what did you win? Usually a bad game that someone dug out of a drawer somewhere. They would present you this with great pomp and ceremony. But here's the interesting thing. The one year I happened to be sitting at the table and hanging out with a guy who that year won Right Club. And he was a producer for a little game place that made 3DS games, like educational 3DS games. And he's like, yeah, I always wanted to be a writer, but they offered me a job as a producer, wanted to get into the industry. So I took the producer job, still trying to get in as a writer, but hasn't worked out so far. And by the end of the night, the rest of the night, we were sitting there hanging, drinking out. I had just met the guy, as you do at conferences. You sit at a table and go, hey, I'm at the conference, you're at the conference, what do you do? What do I do? And you be human beings and talk. This is what we did in the before times. So by the end of the night, people kept coming around and say, hey, you won Right Club? There was some really good stuff you came up with. Here's my card if you're looking for a writer job. Oh, hey, you're the Right Club guy. Oh, take my card. Give me a call if you're looking for something. And by the end of the night, he had like 10, 15 business cards of people looking for writers, right? And the next day, there was a panel. And if you ever go to one of these conferences, there are lots of these panels every year. I have seen so many, I'm sick of them. Of how do you break into the business, right? And in this case, it was, you want to be a game writer, how do you break into the business? And it's 5 people at a table, and they go down the table and tell you their story of how they got their first job as a game writer, right? And then you ask them questions, and theoretically you come out of that session with some tips or tricks on how to break into the business. honestly, my takeaway from many of these is everybody's story is unique. And there is no one way to break into the business. It's a combination of preparation and being in the right place at the right time, right? But in this particular case, out of the 5 people on the panel, 3 of them said, oh yeah, and that year I won Right Club. And then I got all these job offers, and that's how I broke into the business. So I am preparing you for someday going to GDC. By the way, I believe it's April 1st. You may have seen the emails that I've been sending about the narrative design or narrative review competition to get free passes to GDC. All you have to do is analyze an interesting game. It doesn't have to be your favorite game, but it should be a game you know something about, that you've played, that maybe you've played more than once, that you know that maybe has a story. Probably a narrative review of Tetris would be really interesting and hilarious, but not win. But maybe it would. Who knows? The judges are a strange and interesting bunch. So 2 years ago, Kate Olgin, who she last year she won the narrative review contest and got free passes, but she ended up winning passes to GDC 5 different ways, and could only accept one, and so accepted the one that got her the most access and the most money. Sorry, reading quiz number 2, TA is Karen. Karen was our TA last year. I gotta fix that. Sorry, McKenna.
All
Sorry.
good.
I
went by Susan briefly last semester.
Okay, well, whatever. It's not Karen. Karen was last year. It's McKenna this year. I'll change it. Kate went back at the last actual physical GDC. She went and after some session, somebody said, hey, Kate, you ever heard of Right Club? Want to come to this Right Club thing? And she's like, I know exactly what Right Club is because I had storytelling with my Professor O'Donnell. By the way, you can call me Dean. You can call me Professor. You can call me Professor Dean. You can call me Professor O'Donnell. I don't care. Just don't call me late for dinner. The thing about Right Club is you only get one chance. You only get one shot. You take your best shot. You either get through or you sit down. One year I went, and every round the guy was like, please eliminate me so I can drink beer, was his answer. And they kept passing him through just because it was hilarious. And it got to be, I really need to pee. Please eliminate me. And they were like, winner, yes. And he got to like the semifinals with that before they were like, okay, go have a beer and go to the bathroom. So you never know. I have put up the new Right Club. Let me first. Where does it say? Oh, that's in the quiz. Okay, I'll fix the quiz. So let's share the new Right Club. Share screen. Share. Okay, so I'm a little more forgiving than professional Right Club in that you get 3 chances. So give me your best 3. If any one of those gets my thumbs up, you go on to the next round, or AKA you get 2 points. Right. And normally the way I do this, but Canvas won't let me do it. normally I do check plus, check minus, right? And if over the course of the term you get more pluses, then you get full credit. If you get more checks, then you get half credit. And if you get more minuses, then you get no credit. What I've done now is I've just given you 2 points for each one. If you make me laugh, or they're good or interesting, you get 2 points. If I think it's okay, you get 1 point. And if any one of your 3, see what I'm saying? And if you just don't do it, or like, I don't know, I ask you for the name of a World War I general, and you say, I don't know, pastrami, and it's just totally, well, but General Pastrami, that would be a cool general. I know something about General Pastrami. He's Italian. Maybe. Is he Italian? Is Pastrami Italian? I don't even know. It sounds like an Italian name. Anyway, so if you give me something that just is inappropriate or it doesn't seem like you're even trying, I'll give you a 0. So just try. Most zeros are gotten from not showing up, not doing it. In general, most of the people who do badly in this class do badly because they don't hand things in. I'll just put that out there. So for this week, create the title of a first-person shooter based on the works of Jane Austen. Don't know who Jane Austen is? Shame on you. You should know the works of Jane Austen. But you feel free to Google away. Go watch Emma. The new version is quite good. Watch the Colin Firth miniseries of Pride and Prejudice. You will learn so much. Colin Firth version is the best version.
So what exactly are we handing in for this?
Oh, okay. You are handing in 3 titles.
Literally just words.
Just words. If you want to make a cool thing like this, I won't stop you. I will laugh. But it is in no way required. Okay, so you can make a text file. I have also allowed for JPEGs and PNGs if you want to make me a picture. That's fine. So, for instance, if you just wrote Pride and Extreme Prejudice, The Call of Darcy, that would be a perfectly acceptable answer, except that I used it as my example. So no, you can't use that one. Don't use my example. This is a classic. Shirt woot. I guess this was a t-shirt at one point. So come up with something that both expresses something of Jane Austen's work and tells me that it is a first-person shooter. Okay. Shorter is always better. Titles are supposed to sell games, right? If your title is well, personally, I think Pride and Extreme Prejudice is a good one. Call of Darcy is a good one. Putting them together, it's too long. But I think I Googled this and found that graphic, so I threw it on there. Don't overthink it. Normally when we do this in class, I give y'all 15 minutes because I think it should take you about 5. So I give you 3 times the amount of time. What the way I recommend is just write 10 of them and then take a breath, go have a sip of iced tea or something, come back and read what you wrote and pick your best 3 and hand those in. Don't hand in more than 3. If you hand me 15 of them, I will look at your first 3 and judge from there. only give me 3. And remember, only one of them has to be good. And I understand this is entirely subjective, but I am very merciful, not merciful, but very open to, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're good. So this is supposed to be fun. So have fun. That said, I'm going to stop the share. And let me assignments. Let me get rid of Karen. Reading quiz 2. Where does it say Karen? This is DO2. Do not write paragraphs. An actual human being. Okay, edit. McKenna. McKenna. The more fabulous than Karen. TA. Save. Okay. There we go. The Write Club is due Thursday at 5. The reading quiz is due Friday at midnight. The idea is we bang those out. They're both quick little things, and we leave the weekend for the bigger projects. Remember, each of them's worth 2 points. My whole goal with kind of the online stuff is a whole bunch of little stuff that gets you little grades, so that if things start going off the rails for you, because the hardest part of, you guys must be pros at online learning at this point, right? You've had like a year of it at least. So the hardest part of online stuff is keeping up, right? So the idea here is to give you a whole bunch of little things to do, so that you keep tuning back in. Just, oh, I can do that in like 20 minutes. Boom. And you keep coming back to say, oh, I can do this one little thing really quick. Instead of, you must work on this for hours and hours and hours, and then it's 30% of your grade. Actually, we have some of those too, but we'll get you in the groove first. Okay. So, and it's 4:30. Okay, so let's talk about Aristotle. Oh gosh, I'm out of Gatorade. So sad. I wish my dog could deliver Gatorade. Okay. Aristotle. Oh, by the way, the reading quiz this week includes the chapters in the Glassner, the chapters in the Transmedia, and Tacoma. Okay, so play Tacoma. I have posted in the Discord videos of my streams of playing through Tacoma. Feel free to watch them, but I honestly think you're better off playing the game yourself. It's a better experience in terms of interactivity, right, than watching. But you can scrub through the game. The other thing in terms of content warnings for Tacoma, there's a lot of threatened, like, oh my God, horrible things have happened. Without spoiling anything, there's nothing gory or gross. Okay. And there are times when it feels like I'm going to open this door and there's going to be gory and gross things through this door. Don't worry, there's never anything gory or gross. That said, I don't think there's anything gory or gross I mean, there's a couple bickering in Facade that's kind of gross, but it's two people having an
I
argument.
don't remember anything gory when I played through it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So-
I don't think there was much really
Okay.
trigger warning. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Aristotle. Aristotle, to the real gore was the friends you made along the way. Yes. Okay. Aristotle was a natural philosopher. Anybody remember anything about Aristotle? Tell me what you know about Aristotle off the top of your head. Don't Wikipedia it, just off the top of your head.
He was in Athens. He came after around the same time as Socrates and Plato, and he did a lot of. He's well remembered because he had a lot of books, and they survived because of how many he had.
So yes, through sheer numbers,
Yeah.
we have his books.
And he had somewhat different theories, and most of his books were kind of looking back on things, or like kind of being critical of other philosophers or ideas. So he's also known for some of the stuff we know about other philosophers of the time because he wrote it down, whereas their works haven't survived,
Yep.
like
Okay.
Democritus.
Okay, so like there's
Didn't he do the thing with like the rock in the bathtub, or was that someone else? Like that
That
made a volume.
was-
That was
I'm not-
Archimedes.
Archimedes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Other A name. Other A name. Same old guy.
I always think of Aristotle as being the parthogenesis. He sat around looking at raw meat and said, "Flies come from raw meat." That's how we get flies, because raw meat turns into flies. But then somebody last year told me I was totally wrong about that. So I may be totally wrong about that.
I think that was a pre-Socratic. I don't think that was Aristotle.
Yeah, he thought women and slaves by nature could not be virtuous; only free men could. So one of the things that what you call a natural philosopher, it's pre-scientific method science, I guess. In that you're at least Aristotle was all about observation, right? Let me observe things and write down the properties of things. And so that's the start of the scientific method, because he's like, it's make observations, form a hypothesis for how it works. And that's about as far as he got. Right. After that is put together an experiment to test your hypotheses. If it turns out your hypothesis was right, yay, go have a drink. If it turns out your hypothesis was wrong, that your experiment showed things are wrong, then you come up with a new hypothesis, do it again. That's science, right? But Aristotle was just all about like, I'm going to look at stuff and I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. Science or natural philosophy. So at the time of Aristotle in Athens, oh, by the way, there's a quote somewhere, I always pull it out, of Socrates. I always pull it out when people are complaining about the new media that the kids are enjoying and that is ruining the youth of today. And Socrates, we have a quote from Socrates where he's like, this writing stuff, the kids these days, they don't have to remember anything. They just write things down. That's their brains are rotting because they don't have to memorize things. And you know why we know Socrates said that? Because Plato, his student, wrote it down. Right? So anyway, since Socrates, before Socrates, old people have been complaining about the Ute.
In the words of Socrates, I drank what?
Okay, so back around Aristotle time.
For sure is hemlock at the end there.
Yeah. There were again, don't remember. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Should have reviewed, but things happened. Either every 4 years or every year there was a big theater festival in Athens, right? And I think it was every 4 years, like the Olympics, but for theater. Anthony, it looks like you were about to say something. No, okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm often wrong.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I just know about the philosophers. I don't know about the stuff around when they
Okay.
were.
Well, I did the whole theater thing, so I know a little bit about the theater. There was this big theater competition. All the best playwrights would bring their plays. Amazingly, Greek drama was generally told in trilogies. So you'd have sets of 3 plays, much like what we think of nowadays as the Tolkien thing. The I don't know, now Marvel screwed that up and made it a 23 series story. But they would bring their plays, they would perform the plays, and somebody would be given a crown of laurels at the end, to that they had won, that they were the best play or plays that year. Aristotle, being a good Athenian, went to a bazillion plays, and Aristotle, being Aristotle, said, I'm going to write down what goes into the properties of a good play, right? Just like he does with the natural philosophy, just like he does with biology and physics and whatever else he observes. He's going to observe and record the properties of good drama. So he writes a thing called the Poetics, because drama is poetry at the time. And there are 2 sections to it. There is tragedy, which is what you read over the weekend, and there is comedy. Comedy is lost to time. There are no surviving copies of Aristotle's writings on comedies, which is why comedy is so difficult, because we don't know the rules. If Aristotle's comedies had survived, I'm sure things would be funnier. So all we can go with is what he wrote about tragedy. And the base thing, the very first thing he says, is that all good tragedies come in 3 parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. Right? Which seems obvious. But hey, if you're Aristotle, you're the guy who writes it down for the first time, you win, right? I'm the first one who noticed this: beginning, middle, end. As it translates down the ages, that's a 3-act play, right? So a beginning, a middle, and an end. As it turns out, most Hollywood movies have what we call 3-act structure. And in fact, what we watched on Friday, Witness, is one of the best examples of 3-act structure, which is why I continue to use it, despite the icky voyeurism that everybody was icked out by. Although, like, in 1985, that scene was like sexy and oh my God, are they, will they, won't they? I don't know. And nowadays, like last year, everybody was squicked out by it too, that Harrison Ford was a big creeper. And he should just close the door and say, sorry. Sorry. But she left the door. She knew he would come in, and so she left the door open. It was an invitation, and the pause was, will we, won't we? I'm sorry. I just want you to know how it was intended. I understand that it's creepy now, just the same as the casual racism where it's like the kid says a black guy did it, so let's go to the bar where black guys hang out and beat them up. And then we're like, oh, wrong guy, and all the guys are like, that's fine, I understand, that's what cops do to us, it's no big deal. Yeah, so we got casual racism and creepy, weird, sexy things, but very good 3-act structure. Going back to Aristotle, he also, you probably have done like Greek tragedy in high school. I hope you have. Maybe Oedipus Rex, maybe Antigone, in strange and interesting high schools, maybe Medea. But in any event, I'm not all that interested in the tragedy specific stuff. I want to talk about the unities. Aristotle said good plays preserve the unities, and there are unities of time, place, and action. I want to say there's a fourth one, but let's go with time, place, and action. Time, the play takes place in exactly the amount of time that it takes to watch the play, right? So if it takes 2 hours to watch this play, 2 hours will pass in the lives of the characters, right? In movies, that never happens. There was a show in the early 2000s called 24. Jack Bauer. Go watch it on your favorite streaming service, wherever it is. It's terrible now. It got us into the Gulf War, and made torture normal. Anyway, the point of 24 is that there were 24 episodes in a season. Each episode was 1 hour long, and 1 hour would pass in the lives of the characters on screen. So their selling point was basically this preserves unity of time. How did they do that? Well, Jack Bauer, our hero, would find out that he has to drive across town to meet with somebody, and so we'd cut away to some other character having a meeting where tense things happen, and then we'd cut back, and Jack Bauer would be arriving at the place he needed to arrive at because it was 10 minutes later and he drove for 10 minutes. This became increasingly more ludicrous as it was always around LA that Jack was running around, and people would map out his movements and show that with traffic, there's no way he could have covered that amount of distance in the amount of time necessary, given traffic and such. But, fantasy, whatever. Unity of place is that it takes place in the exact place where we are looking. So basically, Oedipus Rex takes place in the throne room of the king of Thebes, whose name is Oedipus, right? And we never leave there because it's ancient Greece and we don't have set changes yet. And B, the unities say we should stick in one place. It's very it's usually experimental to stay in the same place in a movie, less so in the theater, where usually there's what we call a unit set. It's like somebody's living room, and everybody will be in that living room, and all the action will take place in that living room. There was recently there was a movie based on a play where Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Jim Brown, and Marvin Gaye, I think. Was it Marvin Gaye? No, Sam Cooke. All met and hung out, and this is an actual historical happening in this hotel room in Florida. And I'm watching the movie. It was on HBO Max or something. Nominated for an Academy Award this year, and we're in the movie, and I'm like, this was a play first. I guarantee you, this was a play first, because we're in this room, and any other movie would leave the room, but we keep finding excuses to come back to it. Or the characters keep finding excuses to come back to the room. And it's very clear when we go outside the room that it's got a different feeling. And it's added after the fact that they have left the room where the play takes place. So this is movie content rather than play content. In the third is unity of action, that basically says everything that's in the play contributes to the central action, the main plot. And Witness does not hold with unity of time, does not hold with unity of place. As far as action is concerned, depends on how you consider action, because there are essentially three stories happening. There's the cop story, there's who done it, there's the love story, and there's John Book finding himself among the Amish, right? So, but all of them feed into the central story of John Book becomes a better man, right? Through this crucible. So in that way, we can say, yes, it does preserve unity of action.
I mean, there's still unrelated bits that don't contribute to any of that, though.
Like
I'm not sure how you would tie in the presence of that guy who liked Rachel.
Like,
what does that have to do with anything?
Well, that's the love story. That it's a love triangle. And he is king of the walk among the Amish. He is John Book's major competition. And he teaches John Book how to drink lemonade.
John Book was never really trying to.
Yeah. It is definitely part of the love story. And I will talk more about the lemonade, but I disagree with you, but you kind of have a point. Yes. I see your point. I don't necessarily agree with it. And we'll talk more about that. Okay, so in games, we are much more used to unity of time and place. Big open world games where you wander around all the time. We're just following one person through an entire world. I can walk from one side of the world to the other without a break. There's no like I get on a train and cutscene and I'm off the train. We could argue that every time we go into a doorway, like in the Fallout games, and we go inside, that's a different place because there's a load. But one of the things we've been trying, that games have been trying to do forever, is to get rid of load screens, get rid of those elevators, get rid of those pushing through the narrow crevice scenes, which are the new elevators, right? So the idea is that the place is a large place. It's the map of Fallout. It's Skyrim. It's wherever Grand Theft Auto takes place, right? And we can wander around. Time is a little harder because whenever there's a fade out and a fade in and time has passed, generally when people sleep, right? We do not have, in real life, we don't have unity of time, because every time you go to sleep, time passes and you don't know what happened. And one of the first things you do when you wake up is try to find out what happened while you were asleep, right? You check your phone. What happened? Did anything happen? Did anybody call me? Did the boat get out of the Suez Canal? Yay, it did. Yay. All these are very important things. Could have happened while you were asleep. In Skyrim, once I became a werewolf and realized I didn't get any bonuses for sleeping anymore, I stopped sleeping altogether and just kept adventuring. Unity of time, woo! That's how easy it is. If you never have a cutscene where time passes, you have unity of time, because it takes exactly as much time to play that game as it took for the character to live it, because that character never sleeps. That character, occasionally a character will get conked over the head and black out, and that will screw up time. And occasionally you will, I don't know, join a community and they will cut to a month later where you're a happy member of the community just before it is all it all goes horribly wrong. So but that's not to say we don't get that sort of thing in games. The huge open world games do a much better job with time and place. Action is a whole other thing. Side quests, oy vey. I can't tell you how many times I've ignored the main action of the game for side quests. And then the question becomes, what is the main action of the game? Because my game is the main action of the game is I wander the wasteland, righting wrongs and helping people, like David Banner, the Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby, who's before all your time. So I am over time, but I am going into tomorrow. I'm going to go straight into 3-act structure and Witness. We're going to deconstruct Witness, and I am going to ruin movies for you forever, because you will see the underlying structure of every movie and go, oh, they're just following a formula. Guess what? Yes, they all are. They're all following a formula, and you'll be that annoying person who goes, that's the end of Act 1. Huh. That's the hero's lowest moment. Huh. And you can ruin it for all your friends and family. It'll be fun. You'll be that annoying person at the movies. You'll get over it. It'll take a couple months. You'll get over it. But for a while there, it'll be exciting. Okay. So, tomorrow we'll do 3-act structure and hero's journey. Oh, one other thing. I wanted to ask, if you are in a different time zone, especially if it is it is a very far away time zone, like you're in London or something, please let me know, so that when we get to partners, I can partner you up with someone who is closer to your time zone, so you don't have to meet with people very early morning or very late at night. Okay. Just drop me an email. Let me know. That was my wife. Oh, you can't see her. My wife just came in and gave me a note. It was cool. Okay. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Any questions? Drop it in the Discord. And have a cool Monday. Play Tacoma. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, McKenna.